playing 6 planeswalkers to Baw's 1. So the question is, well, what is he cutting? He does not have any Cyclonic Rift. He does not have any Terminus. He has a lot of Supreme Verdicts, but in a lot of ways he's made his deck list a lot fewer one-ofs.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He only went with 1 Sphinx's Revelation, not 2. And 0 Snapcaster Mage to flash it back. So we'll be seeing a maximum of 1 Sphinx's Revelation this game.
Yeah, that no Snapcaster Mage is pretty interesting. So instead of Snapcasting Sphinx's Revelations, he's just going to try to cast a Jace or cast a Tamiyo.
Right.
Alright, Forsberg on the play, leads off on Steam Vents, and we're going to see this parade of lands into play tapped for the first few turns. Basically, it's just a challenge that neither player stumble here.
Exactly, that's the first hurdle that they have to get over. And Bryan Humburg with a Farseek.
Yep, a great play here. Like I said before, it kind of steals the play from Forsberg. Now, Forsberg may have a chance next turn to the first turn where he could make a play. It may be Geist of St. Traft if he has one. That's really his only way to put early pressure on the game.
And that would really demand a Supreme Verdict from Bryan Humburg if he had it. If not, he would be in a bad spot.
And he dodges the bullet. Forsberg just another land into play tapped. So now 2 Hallowed Fountains and a Steam Vents for Forsberg, and then all 3 colors for Humburg, 4, adding a second Temple Garden.
A very light counter magic suite for Bryan. He has 2 Syncopate. Bryan, on the other hand, has a little more. He has 3 Syncopate and 2 Dissipate, as well as 4 Snapcaster.
Right. So both players really have played land go for the first 4 turns of the game. And here Humburg has reached one of the crucial turns of his deck with 20 life. The biggest thing about a tempo deck is that if you start playing it poorly and not thinking out ahead of time, you're liable to get all your creatures bounced or tapped and then get lethal. So he has to watch out for that. Thundermaw Hellkite for Ryan Forsberg. No counterspell for it. He's going to take Humburg down to 15 life.
Yeah, and you know, Ryan Forsberg, even if this Hellkite gets killed here, it did its job. It dealt 5. It traded with a spell. He's happy about it. And it looks like we'll see Oblivion Ring plus Centaur Healer here. It's a potential line from Ryan Humburg.
Alright, so Oblivion Ring will come on to Thundermaw Hellkite and Centaur Healer. Alright, so and second Thundermaw Hellkite from Forsberg will put Humburg to 13. Forsberg not leaving up mana for counterspells, just going to go the tap-out plan. That is a little dicey, but it seems working pretty well for him right now. He's got Humburg down to 13. Alright, and 7th land for Humburg means that Angel of Serenity will be exiling just Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah, and you know, that's not the use that Bryan Humburg wanted to put that to, but when facing down a 5/5 flyer from a burn deck, you got to do what you got to do, and he had to stop that card the only way he could.
Right, so okay, Detention Sphere on the Angel will put Thundermaw Hellkite back into Forsberg's hand.
Yep, not quite an Oblivion Ring. It doesn't go into play.
Right, that would be, if it were to be an Oblivion Ring, that would be insane here. You'd have haste be able to attack again. Both players kind of rearranging them.
So Bryan Humburg, on your right there, he has 7 mana available, facing down a potential Hellkite next turn. Another Angel of Serenity in his hand. So it looks like Jace will come down for Bryan. Ryan Forsberg won't be able to syncopate this, not enough mana. And it looks like it'll be spell versus lands. Bryan Humburg has not made a land drop yet this turn. I think he might take the lands here. No? Okay, he takes the syncopate. He wants the answer to the Hellkite.
Yeah, he has plenty of lands. It doesn't look like he has a Sphinx's Revelation at this point, so the land is of kind of marginal value. We may remember with our last deck that Baugh had a set of Snapcasters and two Sphinx's Revelations. Humburg, no Snapcasters and 1 Revelation. Extra flooded. He's a little more prone to being flooded.
So Ambush Viper end of turn for Ryan Forsberg. That'll kill off the Jace.
Alright, yep. Can come down and that'll get Jace.
Bryan Humburg not going to Azorius Charm to the top. Post-combat, it looks like we might see a Searing Spear on healer.
Yeah, he really doesn't want to get encountered or Restoration Angel, which would be why he makes the play main phase here.
Right. Ryan Forsberg playing around Syncopate very well, not running that Hellkite into it.
Another land from Humburg. Lifesteal's 14 and 13. 13 a little low for the Dank control deck.
Yeah, especially with the full set of Snapcasters and the 3 Searing Spears. Ryan Forsberg has a surprising amount of reach in his deck.
Yep, alright. Humburg will cast Artsy. Just getting a land.
And there's the Hollow Fountain. You saw that Sphinx's Revelation still in the deck. He would love to draw that. Yeah. Catch Ryan Forsberg tapped out at some point. Yeah, and I think the fact that he does not have as many Sphinx's Revelations and he doesn't have the Snapcasters really put this matchup more in Forsberg's favor than the top 4 match. As you kind of see, like in the last matchup, you knew that this part of the game, this was danger for Ryan Forsberg. It doesn't feel nearly as dangerous right now. No, exactly. Those Planeswalkers in Bryan Humburg's hand and deck, they're dealt with so easily via these flash creatures and syncopates. Right. All right, and he's going to draw cards. Humburg drops to 11, draws a card off Azorius Charm. And he's taking his turn now. No plays from Forsberg. Forsberg with a full grip of counterspells. He has double syncopate. Yeah, he's very happy to make Bryan Humburg blink first in this case. Not going to let him get another card. Pass turn. So end step, Forsberg is going to try to just simply play another Snapcaster for value, cycling it, or not cycling it, no, going to Searing Spear. That actually puts Humburg at 8. That gets him a full turn. And while Forsberg's tapped out, he's going to go for a Restoration Angel. So maybe that was a little hasty on the 3 damage to the face. Yeah, still though, the longer this game goes on, the more likely that Ryan Forsberg is to draw another burn spell. And this forces Bryan's hand with the Restoration Angel too. So all in all, not Ryan Forsberg's ideal outcome, but not too bad. Right, and we'll see an unsummon on Restoration Angel and swing by both Snapcaster Mages. Tempting for Humburg, it's too suspicious, but Humburg probably will have to recast it regardless. Yeah, what else can he do here except run into a potential Syncopate? They're going to get spells anyway. Says 4 cards. Yes. Right, and there she is. That'll get Essence Scattered by Ryan Forsberg. I believe he has another Essence Scatter as well. Wow. So that'll put Humburg to 4. He's going to need an answer to these double Snapcaster Mages. Yeah, and now if Ryan Forsberg ever draws a Bonfire on his first draw, the game is over. If he ever has a Bonfire in his hand with 2 more lands, the game is over. So really, that was just a play to get in some damage, to put Bryan at a low enough life total that he's within reach of Ryan. All right. So I think the play is Tamiyo first here because, of course, that Supreme Verdict is uncounterable. Right, if you're committing to both, you want to start on Tamiyo. He's just going to Verdict. No, it looks like he's just going to hold up Syncopate. Well, I mean, yeah, I think the bigger problem is if you do play Tamiyo and Forsberg... Oh, he still has the Hellkite in hand, doesn't he? No, I do not believe so. Right, that's under the Oblivion Ring. Yeah. Humburg, remember though, at 4. Forsberg, you can just see right there. Just trying to make sure that he doesn't leave any damage on the table. Wants to make sure that the camera cannot see him. And he'll cast on. He's going to go for Thundermore Hellkite. That will get syncopated, and he'll get syncopated back. Bryan Forsberg takes the first game from Bryan Humburg. Yeah, and well played from Ryan Forsberg. I really like the way that he carefully rationed his threats, made sure to not get blown out by Supreme Verdict, made sure to not walk into anything from Bryan Humburg. Like we said, the favorite here going into the top 4 takes his first match, 1-0 in the second match. He's going to try to close it out. Bryan Forsberg getting hit, I believe, his first Stars Games Open win. Yeah, his first finals and maybe his first win. All right, so we're going to bring you back to the booth here for a second. So this is our last trivia question. This one is for a year of free Star City Games Premium. This is a pretty big one to listen to. All right. So our question is, so during the course of the tournament, we saw a lot of pretty interesting decks. I think we had a couple deck techs, 3 of them. We had a Black-Green Demons deck tech. We had one with Adam Prosax, Blue-White Tempo deck. The one I'm going to be talking about today, though, was one that we put up in the last round. Was Rug Soulbound, a deck played by Josh Hendricks. Josh Hendricks, I believe, only 2 losses in the tournament, very close to top 8 in this event.
So what I was really excited about some of the more unusual cards in his deck. So I'm going to we're looking for a specific card. So I'll put it this way: what is it uncommon from Return to Ravnica? Paired with was typically paired with Nightshade Peddler in the Rug Soulbound deck, as it's kind of a 2-card combo from Josh Hendricks.
Kind of a wombo combo.
Yeah. So yeah. What is it uncommon? Was a 3 of in Josh Hendricks' Rug Soulbound deck.
Yeah, and again, if you didn't study the deck tech, if you're not up on this deck, you can definitely go to the Starsky Games website, go to the coverage page, check out the deck tech.
Yeah, you can think about it. Okay, like Nightshade Peddler, that's a really strange card. What card would combo with it? Maybe go through your draft commons right now, commons, uncommons.
Here you go.
So see if something pairs up with it.
So let us know. Now,
you have to put the hashtag SCG Premium.
That one right there. If you don't use that, you will not get entered into the drawing. And if you don't use that, you can't win a free year of Star City Games Premium, so make sure you use it.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's bring you back to the conclusion of our finals match between Ryan Forsberg and Bryan Humburg.
Kind of tongue twisters here. I keep calling him Ryan Humburg and Bryan Forsberg. Pretty easy to do. Little spoonerism there.
So, all right, going to the sideboards, we've talked before about what Ryan Forsberg's plan was last time in the semifinals against Span Control. I don't think it changes too much. He wants his extra card draw, maybe his extra counter spells. So yeah, Dissipate, Syncopate, Jace, Tameo. I think that's pretty much all we see from Ryan Forsberg for him to change in his deck.
Right now, the way that matchup played out for Bryan game 1, I would really kind of re-examine the speed at which my deck operates, because his deck is really just so sorcery speed. He might want the extra counter spells. While he's not the deck that really benefits the most from counters in this matchup, that would definitely be Ryan Forsberg. He needs some way to interact at the end of his own turn, at the end of his opponent's turn, when a lot of spells end up getting cast.
Right, so then when we look at Humburg's sideboard, I mean, it's very clear that the Guys of St. Traps come in, that they're going to replace the Centaur healers that are in his main deck. The really interesting question is whether he would board in the Sigarda in this matchup, I think. The card, pretty hard to resolve, but once on the battlefield, a very strong power against Ryan's deck.
Yeah,
you can't kill it.
Yeah, the only thing that deals with it is the Thundermaw Hellkite.
Yeah, and that would only happen on Bryan. Well, I mean, I think that might be why you wouldn't board it in, is because it doesn't actually deal with Thundermaw Hellkite very well. The dragon, taps down the angel and then swings for 5. So the fact it doesn't deal with that might be a reason that it'll be left in the sideboard. But I think it's a pretty interesting one to look at. There's a possibility to decide in here.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Bryan Humburg definitely has some cards that aren't as good. Azorius Charm does almost nothing versus Ryan Forsberg. There are no creatures that you want to put on top of the library, save for the Hellkite. That's the only one. Tameo, really, really unexciting in this matchup. I might expect him to take one or both of those out, and at least one Jace.
Yeah, I would say, Tameo to me is the card I like the least in the matchup. All of Ryan Forsberg's creatures have flash.
Exactly, and that's really the strength of Ryan Forsberg's deck in this tournament. It's just, he interacts on his opponent's turn, he interacts not necessarily during the main phase, and that was what really impressed me about Prozac's deck as well. It was so good at doing that.
Right.
Now, Adam Prozac, if you remember, made the top 8 of this tournament. He was my pick during round 2 to win the tournament. He came close, he made the top 8, but he couldn't get it done. Really just fell victim to a little bit of mana screw in his quarterfinal match.
Right.
Ryan Forsberg, though, flying the blue-white flag, even though he's playing a little red, he'll try and take it down for the Hollowed Fountains. And
Bryan Humburg, to be fair, plays Hollowed Fountains as well.
That's true. That's true too. Bryan Humburg, less of a Hollowed Fountain deck than Ryan Forsberg's is.
All right.
Would you agree with that, or is that?
I'm not sure what that means. You say less of a Hollowed Fountain deck.
I feel like Ryan Forsberg's deck is a more typical blue-white deck than Bryan Humburg's deck is. Bryan Humburg's deck is like a blue-green deck.
Sure, yeah. Bryan Humburg's deck definitely feels more like a green deck.
Yeah.
It's ramping. Forsberg's not ramping. I like to kind of call it like a counter-punching deck a little bit.
I would say I'm barely correct.
Yeah. Counter-punching, what is it? It's like a sports term more. In boxing, someone who is not trying to hit you hard, instead he's trying to block your punch and then punch you back over and over.
Yeah, that's definitely a good term for the deck then.
Yeah.
All
You
he
know,
wants to do is
it's
syncopate.
supposed to be like,
untap dice.
syncopate for 1, untap dragon. And you'd be like, whoa, what happened? This is going so well. So, all right. Centaur Healer's still in the deck for Bryan Humburg. And I think that's fine. You know, obviously Geist of St. Trapped is the better 3-drop in this matchup, but that does not guarantee that you don't want both 3-drops.
Exactly.
Right,
You
now-
have to do something on turn 3.
Interestingly enough, Cavern of Souls has been set to Angel right now. So it's Angel Serenity, Restoration Angel, 2 angels in this deck. And we'll go with the Farseek. And interestingly enough, the Farseek's going to get dissipated. Really, really good sequencing of his land drops here. By doing that, okay, he actually doesn't have another land drop. Okay, apologies. Sometimes it's very interesting if you make that play as Bryan Humburg did. You can bait a counter spell. Say if you're land flooded and have that Farseek, that's oftentimes a ruse play where you'd be like, oh, Farseek. And they and you go, okay, 4th land.
Exactly. 4th land, another Farseek.
No, second Farseek. You'd be like, I'm just kidding, I didn't want the first one. So Jace is gonna. Alright, so anyway, play moving very quickly. Jace down for Ryan Forsberg, it weakens. Humburg swings Jace back down to 5, drops a second Centaur Healer, and Supreme Verdict from Forsberg is huge here.
Wow.
Humburg stuck on 3 lands. Jace now, in play, is going to mini Factor Fiction into Azorius Charm, Thundermaw, Hellkite, and Steam Vents. Humburg does not want the Hellkite, but I don't think he's going to keep Forsberg from... He is going to keep Forsberg from taking it. Okay, Forsberg does not keep the dragon, he takes the pair of lands.
Yeah, you know, both players playing pretty fast right now. Ryan Forsberg feels the victory within his grasp. Bryan Humburg just doesn't have many options.
Well, I'm surprised he didn't take the dragon because Humburg does not have blue mana yet.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Azorius Charm is really going to do a heck of a lot. All he can do is Farseek again.
Yeah, here we go, Farseek from Bryan Humburg. Trying to get back in the game, get enough mana to make relevant plays.
Yep, there's the Hallowed Fountain. That'll go into play tap for Bryan Humburg.
Yep. Now, Jace is an interesting planeswalker. You kind of have this thing where you expect 4 mana Jaces to just be like, oh, well, you activated it 4 times, the game's over. Not true with this one. This next activation is really just a wind-up for another mini Factor Fiction.
Exactly, and even that will kill the Jace.
Right. Yeah, the plus ability, actually, interestingly enough, Jace may be a little weak in the meta right now. The plus ability doesn't really do anything.
Right, when the Lingering Souls comes back, Jace will be a lot better.
Yeah, now, another Jace of his own is drawn by Bryan Humburg. He does not have double blue. His mana still being a huge issue. He's going to pass the turn. He has no plays. End of turn cycling by Ryan Forsberg draws him into a Slayer's Stronghold, it looks like.
And that'll be pretty good in conjunction with any creature.
Yeah, that card's been so good for him all day, all tournament, and you know I think it's going to be good again here. It's just going to make things very hard for Bryan Humburg. Jace mini Factor Fictions into Searing Spear, Syncopate, and Azorius Charm. I'm still puzzled as to why the dragon wasn't taken by Ryan Forsberg. I think he's trying to bury his opponent, but the more turns he gives him, you know, the moment Bryan gets to 6 lands, his hand's no longer bad.
Exactly. I mean,
there's always that fear when you're against a land-screwed opponent that you know if the moment he draws out of it, just like the floodgates are going to open. He's going to have, you know, play after play after play. And you're like, I want to beat him before that happens.
Exactly. I mean, you used all your spells trying to kill him quickly. He still has a full grip of spells.
Right.
So here's 4 mana, another Jace. Wow. And Jace will probably weak stone here. Bryan Humburg representing Restoration Angel.
Yeah. Humburg has a Syncopate, but that doesn't do anything here. He has just enough mana to play around the Syncopate.
Right.
I mean, interesting enough, an ultimated Jace could, were he to start ticking it up, remember that ultimated Jace, the best cast it could have out of Humburg's deck would be Angel of Serenity.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen an ultimate Jace all weekend.
No, I don't believe we have. Alright, Restoration Angel, uncounterable and on end step for Bryan Humburg.
Geist of St. Traft drawn for Bryan Humburg, so...
Right, Jace puts down to 3, because remember the Angel is weakened.
And yeah, Bryan Humburg can either sit on his 2 counterspells or tap out for Geist. And neither option really that appealing, because if he taps out for Geist, he's asking to get Verdict, and if he doesn't, and if he taps out, and if he leaves a counter up...
we know that all Forsberg has after post-board is 2 Verdicts.
Right.
And one's already been cast. So, I mean, it might be something you could be willing to play into. Alright, mini Factor Fiction, let's get Geist of St. Traft into Forsberg's hand. And we may see Geist get Slayer's Strongholded.
Yeah, that'd take a big chunk out of Bryan Humburg,
right.
Drop him 8 life points, drop him to 14, or rather to 18.
Forsberg can make that play and still have enough mana left to Essence Scatter. It will means he will lose his Jace. That's probably fine. Geist Saint Draft now on the stack, deciding whether it's going to resolve.
Yeah, if I'm Bryan Humburg here, I think I either syncopate it or dissipate it. Syncopate might be all right to get Ryan Forsberg to tap out.
I mean, that means you're just burning off your syncopate as a life gain spell. You can't dissipate because you don't have double blue. So it's kind of interesting. He has these two counter spells. None of them are particularly good here. I don't really want to play a gain 8 with syncopate, but I think it's what he's going to have to do. Yeah, there it is. And tap out. Make him tap 3 more lands. All right.
And that'll draw the syncopate back.
Interesting. Now, Forsberg really wants to push damage. That may have been a little aggressive. I think I would have just paid it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely the difference between a 4-turn clock and a 3-turn clock, and Ryan Forsberg really just trying to push that damage.
Yeah, the big thing is now Humburg's going to be able to stabilize pretty good here. He's going to be able to attack Jace and then Legend Rule the Geist.
Right. Ryan Forsberg doesn't know Bryan has a Geist. He figures Bryan would have played that card.
Well, I just feel like if you hold up Essence Scatter, this Geist Saint Trap is so good.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Now all of a sudden the board has no creatures for Ryan Forsberg as soon as Bryan plays this Geist.
Humburg gets to choose between Geist Saint Trap now and Sigarda, Host of Herons. He did board in the Sigarda.
I think I
Thrag Tusk.
Oh wow, okay, now it's a decision. I think it's between Geist and Thrag Tusk here.
I agree.
Because the Angel always uncounterable with that Cavern.
I think it's Thrag Tusk. And Humburg's going to agree. What's going on here?
I don't know. They might be having a rules question, life total dispute, something like that. We'll find out for you.
Magic players, if you sign up for $10 draft number 1, you report to inside of stage. $10 draft number 1, inside of stage.
We'll see here. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely think it's Thrag Tusk. Thinking about it a little more, you have to hold the ground. You have to have a guaranteed blocker against that Geist.
Yeah, there appears to be a little bit of a dispute. A little bit of questioning going on here, so we'll let you know what's going on the board. All right, yeah, Thrag Tusk into play for Bryan Humburg. Humburg up to 23. And yeah, and it's just, this is why I think I really wanted the Essence Scatter if I was Forsberg.
Yeah, the more I think about it, Thrag Tusk is just a huge problem. Now all of a sudden he has this grip full of counter spells.
And like unsummons.
Yeah.
Like, Thrag Tusk.
It's not what he wants to be doing.
Yep, looking like he has a Snapcaster Mage.
Now Geist of Saint Traft can effectively trade with that Thrag Tusk with the help of Slayer Stronghold. And then Unsummon can take care of the token.
Alright, so, yep. And that's what's happening. Searing Spear, followed by Unsummon, I think. Followed by another Searing Spear. One or the other. It's interesting.
I think I like Unsummon here. Maybe a little more than Searing Spear. The Searing Spear doesn't deal with the Restoration Angel, but Searing Spear can go to the face.
Unsummon, and then, alright, Geist Saint Draft going to attack. It does not have Vigilance. Oh, he's going to Slayer Stronghold the Geist Saint Draft and attack for 8. Humburg back down to 15.
Yeah.
And this time Forsberg has left up the Essence Scatter.
Right now, it won't matter if Bryan Humburg decides to tap out for Sigarda Host of Herons, because that'll be uncounterable due to the Cavern on Angel. But if he tries to cast the Legend Ruling Geist of Saint Traft, it won't work.
Alright.
Bryan Humburg drew another land, so he'll be up to 6 this turn. Really, just after stumbling early, he's hitting all of his land drops now. Exactly what he needs to do to stay in this game.
Remember, to make Geist he can also try to attempt Geist with a Dissipate backup. He has, I believe, his 6th land is another blue source, and if he does, he needs triple blue to go for that play. But if he has it, that's one way he can try to really. If he can clear this Geist off the board, he is that much closer to stabilizing. He's got to be worried though, especially with the grip that Ryan has. I think the reason he might not make the play is that we worried about simply just him playing another Geist and hasting it.
Exactly. The haste on Slayer Stronghold is just really, really scary, especially in conjunction with an 8-power 3-drop. An effectively 8-power 3-drop.
Yeah, we've already seen Slayer Stronghold win a full match for Ryan Forsberg in the semis, and it's really looking like it might do it again.
Yeah. And another opponent, second of the tournament, walks into the Cavern.
No, and unfortunately, he's going to have to use the spell anyway. Yep.
So Ryan Forsberg makes a little gaffe there, forgot that the Cavern was on Angel. The Angel tribal deck is strong.
Yeah. All right, so Sulfur falls into play for Forsberg. He still has another Essence Scatter, so it's not the worst. So it certainly is a frustrating play.
It is. He would love to have that for the Geist of St. Draft that'll come down soon. And Ryan Forsberg, with a Searing Spear in hand, he can force through a potential 4 damage with the Angel token. He doesn't have to Slayer's Stronghold yet, so maybe even 6 damage if Bryan doesn't block.
And Sigarda's a 5/5, so he may just be able to take out the... I mean, it looks like he'll probably just take out Geist of St. Draft.
Yeah, and it looks like that's the block he's lining up. And of course the Sigarda, we'll try and get that one up on the screen for you. A little, maybe a lesser known Avacyn Restored Mythic Rare. Has a few different abilities. And not often played in Standard.
Yeah, Snapcaster is going to come down for Supreme Verdict post-combat. So really it's one of his few ways to get, so he's just suiciding for the damage. It's one of the few ways he can deal with Sigarda.
Right.
So 6th land for Humburg.
Bryan Humburg took 6 that turn, went to 9.
Now he has a Geist of St. Draft of his own with 3 mana up. So he'll pass the turn. So just has to worry about large hasters coming from Ryan Forsberg. Forsberg has drawn another Geist of St. Draft that will Legend Rule the first one. Unless it gets dissipated here, and that'll be dissipated back.
Redissipate, yep. So Legend Rule, each creature goes to the graveyard.
Alright, we'll pass back the turn. I like that Forsberg leaving up the Slayer's Stronghold mana, though he has no creatures.
Just in case. Humburg, though, drawing Thragtusk. Ryan Forsberg, he was way ahead in the early game, but he just drew so many lands that Bryan Humburg can catch up now.
Well, I mean, so what Forsberg has to hope is bank on is the fact that Humburg is still at 9. 9 for a Bantech, that's extraordinarily low.
Wow, now to 7.
If he's going to shock himself because he doesn't want this Thragtusk to get syncopated.
Down to 7, up to 12.
Now, is that, I believe if we have another, I don't know if we have another Dissipate. Yeah, but I don't believe there was a way to keep up the correct mana to do it.
Ryan Forsberg draws another land. He'll check his sideboard, wants to make sure he didn't side out all his spells.
Right.
So 1 Searing Spear in his hand.
Right, and Halafountain into play tapped. Forsberg, you can tell kind of by the body language on that he's showing there that he doesn't really, he may have let this game slip away.
Not that happy with the spot he's in right now.
No, I mean, the thing is that that's really coming back to that Essence Scatter that was lost in the Sigarda. You know, that was the Essence Scatter that was for the Thragtusk. And once again, he's going to try to dissipate. Yeah, he tries to dissipate an Angel spell, and that's just got to be the worst.
Yeah, just run into the cavern and then run into the cavern, and all of a sudden your opponent goes from 0 power on the board to 11 and back up to 17.
And back to 17. Really a game that's gotten from Forsberg again, and he knows it. All right. The good news for him is he gets another shot at it. You know, at least worry to that's the kind of game you don't want to leave the tournament on. If that was game 3, you walk away and you just want to go throw up after doing that.
He probably wouldn't even play Legacy.
He'd be like, I'm driving home. I'm not playing the Legacy.
I'm not giving you guys a ride home. Have fun.
Right.
I'm out.
So the good news is Ryan declared I have no outs and scooped. So all right. The good news, he gets another shot at it. So once this matchup, despite the fact that Ryan Forsberg is on the correct side of it, is a matchup that can go either way. So Humburg going to try to, kind of 2 good stories here is Ryan Forsberg looks to redeem himself in game 3, become the destroyer of Bant in the top 8, win his first Open on this is his 3rd top 8. It's the first time he's moved out of the top 8. It's his 3rd top 8 at the Star City Open. First time he's moved out of the top 8, trying to get his first trophy. Humburg, on the other hand, the only undefeated player in the tournament. Still hasn't lost a match. Interestingly enough, you'd say, wow, undefeated, he must have been one of our top seeds. Well, not really true. Humburg, I think, drew in round 2 and drew again in round 5, I think I want to say, and then proceeded to battle, just kind of go 6-0-2. So despite, 2 draws, that had to win his way all the way through the Swiss. Got some bunch of early draws.
All the unintentional draws. He came in as the 6th seed, which is kind of unusual for an XO2. You usually expect them around third, fourth, fifth seed.
XO2 usually happens, you win out and then you draw twice. But no, Humburg did this the hard way.
The way where he did not have a match to give.
Right, so yeah, our last undefeated player. So yeah, Humburg trying to take his Bantek all the way, not, have the perfect tournament. And then, yeah, Forsberg going for his first title, going to Game 3 here in our finals.
Yep, now Ryan Forsberg will have to play for Game 3, which is very important, especially when it comes to Geist of St. Traft. If no Geists are involved, it's less important, but if someone can stick a Geist because they're on the play, in this case it would be Ryan Forsberg, he's going to have a huge leg up, just like we saw against Jacob Bell. So there you see the players. They're pretty friendly. They're chatting. Doesn't seem like they're letting the pressure get to them too much.
Yeah, and I don't know how much pressure is on this match. I know I think Ryan Forsberg. I think the players did not prize split at all. So this is, I think, a pretty big match here.
Yeah, it is.
That $1,000 game of Magic.
All comes down to one game.
And I always love that when you get to these ends of these premier level tournaments, there's something you realize, like, man, am I playing a $1,000 game of Magic? And it's like, oh gosh.
The stakes only go up as you move on.
You don't ever want to think about that while you're playing.
No.
You just want to think, I'm playing Magic. I love this game. I play it all the time. And then maybe afterward, then you have to what I was just, then I'll look at the prize structure and I'll check myself and be like, I was playing for that much, huh? Oh, okay, that's terrifying. That's like a couple paychecks.
Just a few. Just hope you don't have to. Well, I was gonna say just hope you don't have to play in the finals of a Pro Tour then, but I think you'll take that.
Yeah, I think the most I've had on one game between winning and losing is I had one where it was the difference was 5,000. It was just like that's that's a full student loan. I was like.
So, did you win the match?
I did end up winning the match.
And you gave it all to charity. That's nice.
Yeah, I know. Well, just kind of a great guy.
Well, I mean, I call it giving to charity when you're flying to these GPs.
You're flying to these GPs.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh God, I wish that was more of a joke. Yeah.
So there you see Ruben Bresler in the background on the right, Steven Zwanger in the background on the left. Head coverage, head judge. This is the last match of the tournament. This is the last game of the tournament.
Yeah, and one of the more experienced judges in the room, I know, for those of you who didn't know, back at the Pro Tour, you used to typically, table judging was a very common practice. So, which is kind of what he's doing here. It's interesting, the role's a little different. The players are now responsible for maintaining the game state. It used to be that players were not responsible for the rules at all in high-profile matches. The table judge was actually the one, it was more like, so you know how in basketball, okay, for anyone who follows sports, in basketball, basically what players will do is they'll be regressively more and more physical until the referee finally calls a foul and like, okay, that's the limit. I can push you this hard, but I can't push you that hard. And that used to be the dynamic between players and judges. It was like, okay, like with rules lawyering, for example, or maybe not announcing triggers, like, I can, if the ref doesn't see it, it's okay. So you'd have a table judge, and he was kind of like the enemy of both players. And so when you look at sometimes you hear about old Pro Tours, like, man, was everyone cheating? And you're like, well, kind of, but it wasn't like deck stacking cheating, but it was like, if I mistap my lands and no one notices, it's okay. There was a little more, what can I get away with?
I've heard the term Wild West applied quite a few times.
Right, and I think they determined that they didn't really like that in the game, because it developed this antagonistic relationship between the judges and the players, because players, would intentionally try to gain advantages that they were supposed to. It was the judge's job to catch that.
But definitely not the way that the game should be played, not the way that the game is played now. I actually had a judge call last weekend at the Grand Prix in Philadelphia involving Steven Zwanger on the left there. And it actually kind of felt like one of those old style scenarios. It was like my opponent attacked me with a few creatures. I was thinking about activating my key rune. A good amount of time passed, 10-15 seconds. And then he tried to cast a spell before I blocked.
You're like, hey, whoa, hold on.
Right, so at that point I was like, well, you kind of passed priority to me. He was waiting to see whether I activated the key rune or not. He wanted to see what I did first. And then when I called the judge over, it felt like kind of a judge call of old.
Right.
And then I had to kind of argue my case with the way the rules worked. It didn't really feel like how the way the rules work now. But my opponent did of course pass priority.
All right, so our final game of the Star City Standard Open. Ryan Forsberg leads off on a tapped Hollowed Fountain. Sin Petal Grove for Humburg. Another Hollowed Fountain for Forsberg. Both players developing their mana. Ryan Forsberg with now all 3 colors. Drawing the Sulphur Falls, immediately playing off the top. And stuck on 2 lands again is Bryan Humburg. Bryan Humburg is on a 6-card hand. And you may or may not remember, okay, Dissipate on Farseek. This was similar how Forsberg took Game 3 of the semis. Is he going to get it again?
Yeah, now the good news for Bryan Humburg, there's no Geist, there's no Thundermaw Hellkite, so he's not under any pressure right
Another
now.
Farseek. This one's going to resolve. Yeah, no real pressure for Forsberg. He dissipated the first Farseek for tempo. Did not have a counterspell for the second one. I think he probably would have pulled the trigger on that as well.
Yeah, I think so. When the top of the deck is the only play, he would definitely counter it.
So see, here's a clock. It's Restoration Angel for Forsberg. You know, not the creature of choice, obviously, but good enough for right now.
Yeah, doing its best Skyline Predator impersonation.
Yeah.
Gonna get in for 3.
So, all right. We have pre-combat, Azorius Charm cycling. Maybe he wants to see if he can draw Slayer's Stronghold.
Yeah, for the extra 2.
He does not. He hits his land, swings Restoration Angel, and passes back. One of the dangers of counterspelling a ramp spell is you want to always make sure that you actually have a threat in your hand when you do it. Otherwise, you may find at the end of the game that, wow, did I really dissipate a Farseek?
Right, exactly. Man, I just needed 1 more counter.
Yeah, you know, that's not the spell you really want to counter. Interestingly enough, so Humburg could have, really just lost the game on the spot there. Didn't, though. He's definitely back in this.
Right, 4 lands is definitely a great number. He can play a Resto to block. He can play a Geist to get a clock down, play a Jace.
It's actually very possible that Humburg, I think, might be in the better position here.
Yeah, it really depends what's in Forsberg's hand.
Well, I mean, just based on the gameplay that has played out, the answer is probably not that much.
Right. And another Restoration, so 6 power in the air. Ryan Forsberg's clock is growing. And him drawing a Snapcaster means he has at least 1 more counterspell in his hand.
Alright, so down to 11.
Yeah, and Bryan Humburg 2 swings away.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of lands right now in Forsberg's hand. I think we're gonna see. I think it's a Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, kind of an embarrassing line for Bryan Humburg. Tap out for Geist, then tap out for
Supreme
Verdict the very next turn, but he didn't account for the Restoration Angel.
No. I mean, and that's really the way he loses. Oh, he also has Detention Sphere.
Right, now that's very risky. The Geist didn't get countered, the Farseek didn't get countered.
I think I would have. Okay, so he's going to opt for the safe play, and just go for the rest. Go for the. Yeah, that's good. The Detention Sphere would have met a Snapcaster Dissipate.
Right.
Would have put Humburg down to 3, or down to 0.
Yeah, actual 0.
All right. So, but I mean, it's already close to natural 0. That swing is going to put Humburg down to 4. It's Thundermaw Hellkite. Forsberg with 1 card left in his hand. Humburg just needs to really beat the board. Well, and then he's going to be stuck in this 4 life land. But
yeah, this is
not
really
many
tough
outs.
for Bryan Humburg. He can either deal with the Thundermaw in terms of Detention Sphere or Centaur Healer to gain 3. I think he has to Sphere it.
Yeah, the Centaur. I mean, both lines are approximately the same. He's going to go with Sphere for Thundermaw. Is it a counter spell? No, it is not. The Thundermaw's gone. Bryan Humburg buys himself another life here.
Ryan Forsberg, any burn spell?
Nope. But he does have a Dissipate in hand.
Well, drawing a Dissipate. This is likely Bryan Humburg's last turn.
All right. What can he draw here? He has Hinterland Harbor. Are there 2 spells he can cast? Is there, can he get around the 1 counter spell that Forsberg's representing?
Oh, he has a Centaur Healer. I don't know if he has any 2-drop to go with it.
There are no 2-drops in the deck, so I don't think so. It's just jam into it and go. And this looks like it will be Forsberg. I believe this is Forsberg's match. All right, and it's Thragtusk tapping out for it, and the Dissipate. Ryan Forsberg defeats Bryan Humburg 2 games to 1, just hanging on there with that top deck counter spell.
Yeah. Game,
a necessity.
set, match to
Yeah.
Ryan Forsberg. Congratulations to him. He wins his first trophy.
Yeah.
It took him a few tries, but he did it.
Yeah, certainly, what a great month for Ryan Forsberg. His 3rd top 8 in the last month. Finally gets to be the one holding the trophy at the end of the top 8.
Yeah.
Dealing Bryan Humburg his first loss of the tournament in the finals.
Yeah, and I don't care what kind of tournament it is. It can be an FNM, it can be a PTQ, a GPT, a Star City Open, anything. If you keep top 8ing and you fail to win, it's a lot of pressure on you. I mean, people ask you, well, hey man, why do you keep losing in the top 8? And
right.
You just want the trophy more than the prize money. You want to put those people the rest and actually win that trophy. And he's done it. He's taken it home. He doesn't look like he's too